Hello, everybody, and welcome to my next video. We will be going into another very scenic area today, into the mountains of Prades, and also going through the vineyards of Montsant and Priorat, which are official wine denominations over here in these mountains. So we're starting just about maybe about 100 kilometers to the west of Barcelona, much closer to Tarragona, but we'll be starting at the station in the village of Picturesque here, at the foot of the mountains. So quite a decent amount of climbing. 96 kilometers this came in at. But yeah, a lot of climbing for that distance, and these mountains are pretty unforgiving, so you need to be in quite good shape for this one and bring your climbing legs for sure. So a lot of the climbing comes in this first 30 kilometers where we climb up to around about 950 meters above sea level, going through some of these beautiful medieval villages here. So, long history of human habitation in these mountains, going back to prehistoric times, and a long history of conflict as well. The Saracens took refuge here as they were being driven back south by the Christian monarchs. And fighting in the Carlist Wars, Spanish Succession, Napoleonic, um, so a lot of interesting history there, and also some fantastic views. So we'll be going through some of these villages. Prades being, I think, one of the highlights, and you can see behind me a rendering in wool of that town, built out of red sandstone. So that's very picturesque. And then descending down through Montsant and Priorat, we'll see these vineyards here built on very steep terraces and a beautiful autumn gold about it, as it was the middle of November. And a fairly mild day. So this was, as I say, kind of like the last chance I thought to get into some mountains and some higher altitudes. So this is what I did. And then descending out of the mountains here onto the plain and finishing in the town of Reus, which is where I picked up the train. There is quite a lot of accommodation up here. I mean, this is big with hikers as well. So there's a lot of these kind of rural retreats if you did want to stay up in the mountains. So keep that in mind. But I think that's about all you need to know for this point. So let's come to the video. Okay, so we're starting here at the station of La Plana Pica Moixons. The R13 and 14 trains run down here, but they're not super frequent, so do check the timetables before you travel. And off onto the main road here, we'll be passing back under the railway at this rather attractive viaduct. This is the main road that runs through here, but it's not super busy. Just passing under the high-speed rail line here. And then we take a right here. This will take us into the village of La Riba. You can have a look around the village, but it does involve a lot of steps, so there'll be a lot of carrying your bike around if you do choose to do that. And there is a toilet paper factory here, so in the event of another pandemic, this would be the place to be. And this is also where the climbing begins, so we start getting into some nice scenic parts here. And some old, look like sort of kind of industrial buildings on the right there, possibly old mills, as we are following the River Brugent as we climb here. Couldn't really find much information about them online, but they do look like they had some kind of sort of manufacturing function. And I wasn't too impressed with this driver here, as you can probably hear from my reaction there. Just a bit of a close pass, which is never good. But we get up to this point, some lovely views to enjoy. We're coming over the top here after the first section of climbing, but it's not over yet. No by Jiminy, but we're up on this this nice plateau here, and beautiful day as you can see. And a nice scenic descent. Not a lot of traffic up here, but it's quite popular with hikers, so you will get some, although not a huge number of people live up here. But of course, as always, take care. So just coming into the village of Farena, this is quite more or less a hamlet really, with a permanent population of around about 43, but more people up here during tourist season, and there are a few places to stay. So we're going to have a little bit of a tool around here. So I found this lovely little very pretty sort of street going down the side here, but when I got to the end I did get told off by one of the locals here, because he didn't really take kindly to me riding down, which is fair enough. I mean, you've got to remember people live here, it's not just for the tourists. So I turned around and had a little bit of an explore of the rest of the village. And very pretty, as you can see. Some parts would be a little tricky to ride up, very sort of steep and cobbled, although you could walk, but not necessarily in cycling shoes. And so we'll be continuing on our way, and here comes the next bit of climbing. You can hear me puffing and panting there, because it does get pretty steep at this section. Really rocking and rolling here as it gets up to 17%. Then we're back on another one of these flat sections up on another plateau here. And now coming into the village of Capafonts, which we'll also explore. We're more or less at the highest point of the day here, over 900 metres above sea level. A little bit more climbing to get up to it though. So there are caves around here that where they found remains from going back to Paleolithic and Neolithic times, so long history of human habitation in these mountains. And there are also the remains of a Roman villa in this area as well. And there are an abundance of natural springs as well, which I guess is where it gets its name from, Capafonts, which by my translation would be the source of the fountains, more or less, or the source of the springs. Could be wrong though, drop a comment if you can correct me on that one. So very sleepy village, not many permanent inhabitants, but of course, as you can see, it does attract hikers. And there is a little restaurant there on the left. Not sure if it was open because I didn't stop here for food and drink, but you can probably check opening times online. And some very pretty, colourful houses here as well. And a certain number of steps as well. I just walked it down here, just coming down towards the little town hall here. In the window you can just see the face of a very big Cargatillo, which I'll explain more about later. And the church here of Santa Maria. One thing I discovered was all the churches in this area are called Santa Maria. Yeah, that church dates back to 1763 in the neoclassical style. And another thing about this village is some say it is the birthplace of Christopher Columbus, but I'm sure that's very debatable. So on our way, and what I mentioned before, the Cargatillo, this is a Catalan Christmas tradition where they have this log with a face on it, and you feed it and keep it warm over Christmas. And then the kids hit it with a stick and it ejects presents out of its backside, apparently. So interesting quirk there. Just as I passed these two guys, I thought I'd include this bit here just to satisfy my ego. Especially as they're on more expensive bikes than mine. So we're over quite a big chunk of the climbing now as we work our way along the plateau to Prades. And then I tagged onto this group, and the two riders at the front here are two of Belgium's up-and-coming cycling stars, the Van Kerkhove brothers. So it's Sef on the right there is Belgian junior time trial champion, rides for Decathlon, and the Visma rider on the left is his brother Matisse, who's a little bit older. He's been smashing it in the under-23s, so that was a little bit of a bonus for the ride. And I followed them into Prades, which we're just arriving into here, and they stopped at a shop up here, so I had a bit of a chat to Seth. He was very nice enough to stop and chat with me. And here we go. Even the pros have to stop for snacks sometimes. Ooh, ooh, careful with that bike, Matisse. And now we can have a look around the very beautiful village of Prades. So this is actually known as a Villa Vermella in Catalan, or Villa Roja in Spanish, basically a red village because it's largely constructed of this red sandstone, which is one of the main rocks you'll find running through Catalonia. And this is the main plaza. You've got bars and restaurants here. And there is the church of, guess who? Santa Maria. Also quite an interesting globe-shaped fountain here. So we'll have a run around the streets here. The earliest history of this is as a Moorish fortress going back to about 1090. As I said, the Moors did retreat into these mountains against the advance of the kings of Aragon, Ramon Berenguer III and Berenguer IV, and they were finally expelled in 1170. So yeah, the main foods they produce up here are hazelnuts, chestnuts, truffles, chanterelle mushrooms, and they do actually have their own potato, the patata de Prades, which is actually a protected species of potato. So a very pretty medieval town to explore here. And a number of places to stay if that's what you desire. It would be really nice, I think, to spend the night here. An interesting array of farming implements stuck to the wall here. And then we find our way back into the main plaza. So coming back out here, we will see some people in a moment roasting chestnuts, but I popped in there for a coffee. And here they are, castañas, yeah, very popular at this time of year. And on our way now, we will drop off the plateau and head down into Montsant. Oh, that is nice after all that climbing. And as I said, fairly mild day today, so it wasn't getting too cold on this descent. And coming into the comarca of Priorat, basically Priorat is ensconced in Montsant, so you've got the two wine regions really kind of locked together. And here we're coming into the Priorat vineyards. As I said before, a lot of terracing, and some of these vineyards are on some very steep terraces. So mostly red wines from here. Principal grapes they grow Grenache, Carignana, Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, as well as Shiraz. Well, they do produce a few white Grenaches. And here's our next port of call, Cornudella de Montsant, which is a village that dates back to about 1190. And again, it's a lot of local produce here, wine, hazelnuts and olives as well. And a church. Can you guess what this church is called? Santa Maria, again. So this town was sacked a number of times by French troops in the 17th century, and again in the Napoleonic Wars in 1812. And then coming into the 20th century, it got quite depopulated, but it did have waves of people coming in from other parts of Spain in the 60s and 70s. And just rolling down here, we're coming down towards the cooperative here, and this would be a good place to pick up some of that local produce I mentioned before. And another one of those beautiful neo-Gothic buildings that are quite abundant here in Catalonia. I think the autumn's a really nice time to ride around here. We've got all the beautiful golden leaves, and as you can see there, it's olive harvesting time. And we're just crossing the Siurana River, which is dammed off not far from here, and the water from that supplies the local villages. And our next climb here, the Col de Porrera, which is quite a short, steep little number. It does dip down here, but we've got to get over that saddle you can see in the distance. And on the right there, we get a sight of some of that terracing, those terrace vineyards I mentioned before. So quite a big group of cyclists came past the other way, and you probably heard the lead rider there say "adeu," which basically means goodbye in Catalan, which always used to confuse me, but that's what people say when they pass you on the road or pass you on the street, just so you know. Just coming over the top of that climb, we definitely want to stop here and admire the view. Whoa, look at that. A bit of a double whammy really. The climb takes your breath away, and then the view takes your breath away as well. So a lovely descent here, we can get a bit more of that view. And see some more of those terrace vineyards. Of course, there are a few bodegas here where you can go wine tasting, but obviously don't mix wine drinking with cycling if you can avoid it. So we're now coming down to the village of Priorat. So I do struggle a bit with those double R pronunciations, and Catalans really do roll the R's. So the first known mention of this village is around about 1157. And again, it is nice to have a little explore around here. Didn't check up on the name of that church. I would hazard a guess it's Santa Maria. And the last climb of the day here is the Col de la Teixeta, which is about 6k long but fairly steady gradient. And coming up here, we could see this whole family here harvesting their olives, kids as well. And just coming up to the top here, and we made it. So that's the climbing done for the day, and now we'll descend down towards our next little village to visit, which is Dues Aguas. But we have this this nice descent here first. Another nice viaduct here where the railway comes over. As you can see, it's made from that same red sandstone that we saw in Prades. And here's Dues Aguas, which we'll have a little explore around. So the name meaning two waters, because it's the point where two rivers meet. So another medieval village in origin, dating back to somewhere in the 14th century, and there is the lovely old church here. I'm not even going to tell you what the name of it is, because you can probably guess by now. Isn't that nice? That'd be nice and rustic. Just coming down to the dam here, and we can see on the right there the village of Rio de Cañas. But we won't be going there today. We'll take a left here. I've been through Rio de Cañas before. I didn't see anything of particular interest, although I might have missed something. So we're following along the railway here towards Reus. And we do have another couple of small towns to go through. This is Botorel, which has a few nice sights here. We've got this church. Again, I'd sort of given up researching what the name is there, because I'm guessing it's going to be another Santa Maria, but correct me if I'm wrong. 2 o'clock and all is well. I've had a lovely day. So I did pass on to the next town, Montbrió del Camp. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely clear where I finished filming in Botorel and when I started filming in Montbrió del Camp. But gingerbread house there. I believe now we are in Montbrió del Camp, because there is another church coming up here. And again, I didn't bother researching the name once again of this one. And we're definitely in Montbrió del Camp now, because we're just coming up towards the main plaza. And I'll point out a very nice cafe where I've stopped in the past and had a coffee and a lovely pastry, which cost me only about €3. Okay, and here it is now on this side of the plaza, Ve de Gust, which I think probably means come and taste, but could be my Catalan's not particularly good. And we're in Reus now, just heading up towards the station. And there's my train coming in now. I did actually make it just. The driver was kind enough to reopen the doors for me. So here's Reus station now. So thanks for your company and see you out on the road.